Cabin Sports Radio.
Here comes the siren. I want to go higher. Oh, my goodness. Will defend. Oh! LeBron James with no regard for human life.
Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal.
Oh, baby, for sure.
Cabin Sports Radio starts now.
Back on the Cabin Radio airwaves for another week. Lekter and Unbreakable Mike Gibbons joining you for Cabin Sports Radio. I should say the birthday boy, Unbreakable Mike Gibbons. Happy birthday, mister.
Thanks, buddy.
I gotta say, you are the most dedicated sports show co-host in the world. What are you doing here?
We get to talk sports, Raptors playoffs. What more could you want?
That's what I like to hear. Lots coming up. Raptors playoffs, NHL playoffs, all kinds of playoffs, and more on this episode of Cabin Sports Radio.
The CSR Podcast.
Cabin Sports Radio, as always, brought to you by Sport North. Check out sportnorth.com. And speaking of them, we will hear from Communications Coordinator at Sport North, Kendra Wambold, back on the show. And also KidSport NWT Coordinator. She's going to be talking about a few events coming up with Sport North, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, lots going on in the world of sports. We are honestly trying to figure out where to even start here. But you know what? Let's start. I know I already said it, but once again, happy birthday, Mike Gibbons.
Thank you so much.
So happy to have you on the show today. 29 years young.
29 years young.
And don't look a day over 37.
Almost the big 3-0.
How you feeling? What, 5 years now in Yellowknife and still going strong?
Yeah, 5.5. It would have been January 2014. A young 23-year-old at the time. Hard to believe. 5.5 years later. You and I, both around the same time.
Yeah.
But like I said off the air, we got some roots here now.
Got some roots.
Doesn't look like we're running away anytime soon. This guy started a radio station, so I don't think you're going anywhere.
No, I'm locked in.
Yeah, you're locked in.
Yeah. Well, glad you're on the show anyway, despite the fact that it is your big day. The dedication never ceases to amaze me.
We get to talk sports, buddy.
We get to talk sports. What more could you want?
Right.
And there is so much going on. We may as well, seeing as how it's your birthday, you're the biggest Toronto Raptors fan, I know. Let's start with the Toronto Raptors, and why not? They are actually, tip-off is, I guess, in moments here. Game 2 in their series now, their second-round series against the Philadelphia 76ers. Raptors starting off much better than they did in their first round against the Orlando Magic, where, after the 3-point loss, the sky was falling immediately. Right. And they turned it around pretty soundly after that. How are you feeling about your Raptors heading into Game 2?
Well, it's funny you use the term "the sky is falling" because it really felt that way. They've had these Game 1 woes going all the way back. I can't remember the stat. I want to say it was 2-14. I think the last time we were on the air together 2 weeks ago, it would have been right after Game 1 of their opening series against the Orlando Magic. They dropped that one at the buzzer, heartbreaking fashion. And then go on to win the next 4 in convincing fashion, too. And they always had issues closing out series, usually going the distance. I mean, there was a lot of 7-game series in their run to the Eastern Conference Finals a couple of years ago. We always knew that the roadblock was LeBron James.
Yeah.
So whenever they ran into him, that would usually spell the end of their playoff run. But then even in the first round, it took them 6 games at the minimum to get past teams that they were quite frankly better than, and they weren't ever getting the respect of their opponent, it felt like. I remember, I think it was Markieff Morris of the Wizards at the time, this would have been 2 years ago, I think, quoted as saying, well, sometimes the better team just doesn't win after being eliminated by the Toronto Raptors. So kind of a slap in the face. But then again, Toronto would go on in the next round and could be swept by LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. So really nice to see them, put their foot down, assert themselves as the better team in the series, probably the best team in the Eastern Conference at this point. They look pretty good. But they're going against a Philadelphia 76ers team that had a very similar route in the first round. They lost their opening game to the Brooklyn Nets. Losing home court, which you play all season long for 82 games to get home court, and you can lose it in a game.
Right.
But they go off to real 4 straight wins too. So coming into the series, I really think, and I'll have to check here, because Joel Embiid was a game-time decision with gastroenteritis.
Sounds uncomfortable.
It was. I saw it on my...
He's gassy.
I saw it on my timeline. I think it's the stomach flu or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not a medical expert, but that was trending on my timeline anyways. And that's a big deal. That would be a huge loss for the 76ers, who was also already dealing with knee issues. I think he had his tendonitis flaring up before this series even kicked off. And that was, for me, I think I had about 3 sort of keys to this matchup. Joel Embiid's health was number one. I think this team goes as far as he takes them. They've obviously got arguably better top-end talent than the Raptors, I would say, with the exception of Kawhi.
Right.
I think at the level he's playing at right now, he might be the best player in the world right now. Just the level he's playing at, what he gives you on both ends of the floor, a career-high 45 points in Game 1, a dominant win. So that was one of my keys. I think another one was the bench of the 76ers. They're not as deep as the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
Marc Gasol, that trade deadline acquisition we talked about a couple months back, it seems like a long time ago now, really shut down Nikolai Vucevic of the Magic in the first round, rendering him almost completely, not useless, but a shell of his former
just
self.
short of useless.
Yeah. And so how he's able to handle Embiid was another key.
It's surprising to me, sorry to cut you off, but it's surprising to me how long it actually took you to mention the name of Kawhi Leonard when giving your thoughts on the first round and now heading into this second round series, 1 game in now. The fact that, like you said, game 1 against Philadelphia, 45 points, 11 rebounds. And we talked about him on and off throughout the season, the load management.
We love that term.
We love that term. It's and it's just something you kind of had to keep coming back to, because as the season progressed and it was still happening and you were thinking, okay, well, this guy's got to be 100%. You were going into this playoff stretch and we're thinking, what's happening? You're supposed to be tuning up here. He seemed to come out strong in the first series and got better as the series went on, and then had an incredible Game 1 against the 76ers. Got to ask, is the load management paying off?
If you're a Toronto Raptors fan, you are pretty happy right now. Just looking at the box score from Game 1 as well, a team-high 38 minutes, which we're not really used to seeing when you've got the Energizer Bunny himself in human form in Pascal Siakam, who has also had a tremendous playoff run and season. If he doesn't get the most improved player, it will be absolute larceny. I think he is the front runner at this point to get that, and completely deservedly. He's been a wonderful second option for the Raptors. Kyle Lowry, we've talked about his woes a little bit, and he was heavily scrutinized after Game 1 of their first round series. The thing with him, though, and it was funny because he had the team's best plus-minus in that game. He gives you so much more outside of what's going to show up on a box score.
Yeah.
The first guy that's going to take charges for his team on the defensive end. He leads the team in assists, and he's that guy. They'll say he's a North Philly guy, right? He wants to beat his hometown team, but you can see, and the Raptors commentators usually refer to it as he plays a city game. He gets to those dirty areas. He plays a pretty rough game. I don't really think it matters what size you are. It almost seems like no one can post him up because he's so strong at his position. So he's been so effective. Marc Gasol in locking down opposing bigs, the rise of Pascal Siakam, the shooting of Danny Green, and then you got the bench. Ibaka's looked great in stretches, and then you got Norm and Fred VanVleet backfill for Lowry, who's provided them with good minutes as well. A lot of talents, and I'm sure we'll get to the NHL playoffs a little bit later on. We kind of knew on the NBA side, it's the best team. The best teams typically advance,
right?
As far as seeding in the regular season goes. So we saw the top 4 seeds in the East and the top 4 seeds in the West. Advance.
What a weird concept.
Yeah.
The best teams continuing on in the playoffs.
That's right. Yeah.
A hockey fan's head is spinning right now.
Yeah. Yeah, whereas I was wrong on one series. I did have one upset. I was 7 for 8 in my first round NBA bracket, compared to 2 for 8 in my NHL brackets. But I think if we're gonna, if I were to summarize everything, I did have the Raptors winning this series. Kawhi has never lost to the Sixers ever in his career. He is, I think, 15-0 now or something like that.
Yeah,
which is pretty remarkable. Obviously, most of those would have been with the Spurs. I did have the Raptors winning in 6. Seeing a lot of pundits say it could even be shorter than that, which is pretty incredible because we know that there's a lot of talent at the top of the Eastern Conference this year, and it's nice to see that parity because we've always seen more of the super talent on the West Hand side, so maybe a little bit of parity. But I mean,
no,
not when it comes to
what is that?
It's very top heavy, but it's nice to see that there are good teams out east as well.
Well, you're a bigger basketball fan than you are a hockey fan. You're a pretty big hockey fan too, but the Raptors are your baby.
Yes,
and that, I mean, you would think in theory that 2 for 8 and to tell the story, like you said, you went 2 for 8 in your NHL playoff first round bracket and 7 for 8 in your NBA one. You would think, maybe Mike just, he just was able to predict this. He knew what to expect out of all these series. Maybe NHL not so much, but no, literally everybody in the NHL that put together an NHL playoff bracket. Nobody had more than 2 series right. If anyone's being honest, nobody had more than 2 series right. So let's transition into our first round NHL playoff brackets because, well, we were exactly in that camp.
Yeah.
Neither of us had more than 2 series that we picked correctly.
Yikes.
We both got Colorado and Calgary wrong. We both got Dallas and Nashville wrong. We both got Columbus and Tampa Bay wrong, which everyone in the world got wrong. We both got Washington and Carolina wrong. And finally, we both got Pittsburgh and the New York Islanders wrong, leaving us only our beloved Leafs, who we knew would lose.
Yep.
And they did to the Boston Bruins. We picked that one correctly. And we split in the Western Conference.
That's right.
I predicted that the San Jose Sharks would beat the Vegas Golden Knights. And you correctly predicted that the St. Louis Blues would emerge victorious over the Winnipeg Jets. So we both went 2 for 8, differentiated very slightly on what series those were that we picked correctly. But nevertheless, we limp into the second round. What do you think? Should we put together our predictions for the second round now?
Totally.
Okay. What are you thinking? Let's start in the West. Why not? Colorado versus San Jose. Split 1-1 between the first 2 games of the series. What are you thinking for the rest of this series?
I'm going to go with what I had picked before the series started. So, like you said, we're 2 games in now. I did have the Sharks coming out of this series, although I would not be surprised. The Avalanche, it's a great story, and they are on track anyways to repeat what they did in round 1, and that being dropping game 1. And then we saw them reel off 4 straight impressive wins against the Flames. Their top line has just been dynamite between Rantanen, Gabriel Landeskog, and Nate McKinnon. Nate McKinnon
Absolutely.
is playing on another level right now. He's looking like your top echelon, right up there with the McDavids and the Kucherovs. He's just been phenomenal.
It's just something about that Cole Harbour play.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, how many 100-point scores did they produce? You throw Brad Marchand in there too. It's a pretty small province, and they're able to produce some top-tier NHL talent, which is just a great story in itself.
Absolutely.
I really like Colorado. I do. I know I'm talking about them more than San Jose, who I predicted to win this series, but it's just a great story. Grubauer playing pretty well.
Yeah.
And they're playing good hockey.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw what ended up being the game winner in game 2, because the Sharks pressed and got a late goal, I think with 14 seconds left in game 2, to cut the lead to 1. But what ended up being the eventual game winner, empty net goal, Calvert completely sacrificed his body. Could have taken a shot at the empty net from mid-ice, but chipped it a little bit further, I think, for McKinnon to get the eventual game winner empty net, and just making the right play to help his team win. That being said, I do like San Jose. I actually had my TV turned off in that game 7 which I'm sure we'll talk about later with the whole Pavelski incident.
Yes.
I've got, as you know, I've talked about it extensively. My Budweiser goal light. Right? I do have it synced to the San Jose Sharks.
Do you?
And I had that game.
Wow.
Yeah, Jess is a fan. I had that game turned off. And I think I told myself, all right, if it goes off twice, because they were down, what? They were down 3-0.
They're down 3-0, with
what?
10 minutes left or something like that? Yeah.
Turn it off, and then, if it goes off twice, we'll flip it back on. They proceed to score 4 in a row. And then part of me was actually hoping Vegas would score again, and they ended up doing it, I think, with like 47 seconds left.
Yeah, less than a minute, yeah.
Was it Marchessault? It might have been Marchessault to force overtime, and it's just a spectacular finish.
Yeah.
But yeah, as the higher seed, I'm going with the San Jose Sharks.
Going with the Sharks.
Yeah.
I you know what? I decided the other day, I'm not going off anything logical anymore, because that
As you
clearly
should.
led us astray already
Yep.
in these Stanley Cup playoffs. So I saw the San Jose Sharks in Game 1 do something that I thought was really cool. And I was kind of looking for the teams that are left and thinking, you have to make it, you kind of got to cheer for someone, right? Just to make it a little more entertaining for yourself. You know, there's always players on every team that you would like to see win a cup. And, San Jose has some pretty good candidates.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, Joe Thornton has never won a cup. The San Jose Sharks in general have never won a cup. And I thought what they did in Game 1 when they were introducing the players, they had alumni. They had Douglas Murray and Jonathan Chichu open the doors for the team and then give them all fist bumps coming out. I was like, you know what? That's cool. I love it when franchises honor their players from the past. And what even guys who played, like 20 whatever years ago, like these are still like pretty recent players. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, why not? I'm going to throw my hat behind San Jose.
Yeah.
So just because they're now my team that I'm cheering for, I'm going to go with the San Jose Sharks too over Colorado. And Dallas, St. Louis. What do you think?
I had St. Louis. So that one is also split through 2 games.
Right.
So I did have St. Louis. I picked at the onset. After that round 1 victory over the Jets.
Nicely called.
Them being the hottest team now officially in the NHL now with Tampa Bay out, which seems forever ago now.
Oh, my God. I know.
That's a long time ago. Other than them and the Boston Bruins, St. Louis was the hottest team in the entire league down the stretch. Everything sort of clicking at the right time. I do really appreciate Dallas's first-round win over Nashville. I like Jamie Benn. They're getting some good production now. Their second line, I think, has been pretty crucial with their trade deadline acquisition in Zuccarello.
Yeah.
Who's fitting quite nicely.
Yes, very nice.
We had a very extensive trade deadline show, and he was one of those guys that we thought might be a difference maker. Sort of actually interesting to note, sort of on that note, Mark Stone continues to lead all NHL playoff players in points with 12 through 7 games played.
Yeah, he'll be a good pickup.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. Yeah. He will obviously get no more. I do have St. Louis, but that being said, Ben Bishop has been playing some Vezina type hockey.
Yeah,
and they're getting great production from their top end forwards. I think this one could go deep, but I have St. Louis advancing.
Yeah, I feel like that one's going to go 7 games regardless. But currently split 1-1 after the first 2 games. I'll go with Dallas just for fun. Yeah, I like their jerseys more.
Yeah,
so let's go with that.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Heading over to the East, Columbus versus Boston. I'm a bitter Leaf fan. I would love to see Columbus advance to the conference finals. What say you?
I have Boston. Really, I think after that crazy first round we saw, I don't know if the field's ever been more wide open. So I was kind of looking at maybe whoever comes out of that Atlantic Division matchup between Toronto and Boston might have a pretty good chance. I mean, this field is pretty open. We did not see a lot of these teams advancing. Boston, I think, is very dangerous.
Yeah.
They're a team that's been there before. We can go on all day about their top line, but now they've got that secondary scoring Charlie Coyle, another trade.
What a pickup he's been.
Yeah, I think he's got 7 to 9 points already. He's been very good. Even
Marcus Johansson too. On the same line, they've looked phenomenal together.
Yeah, and as soon as they re-injected Corrali into their fourth line, they got the forecheck going, and then they kill you when they bring out the top line.
Yep.
and Tuukka Rask. I mean, they'll go as far as he can take them, but we know he can play very good hockey.
Yeah.
And they're a team that doesn't allow a whole lot of goals against.
Yeah.
And they're going to have home ice for maybe even the rest of the way here, based on how the first round shook out. But yeah, they've been there before. I love the Columbus story. I really do.
Yeah.
I think they might be meeting their match, though, with this Boston team.
Yeah, I think you could be right. I mean, at the very least, when the Leafs Bruins series was wrapped up, and I was looking ahead, realizing that it was going to be Columbus Boston, it's like, you know what, that might be the most entertaining series to watch, possibly of the entire playoffs.
Yeah.
I am really looking forward to seeing how the rest of that series plays out.
Both games went to OT so far.
Yeah,
I think.
both overtime games. Yeah, currently split 1-1 in that one too. And the only series in the second round currently that is not split is the Carolina Hurricanes, the bunch of jerks, and the New York Islanders, the Hurricanes, up 2-0 early in that series.
Another great story. Two of the best stories heading into the playoffs, I think. We talked about these teams extensively. The Islanders in their first year without Tavares, making it all the way to second in the Metropolitan Division. Carolina getting in on one of the last days and then upsetting,
knocking out
defending champs.
This is the ultimate wild card series, right?
Totally.
Now. Yeah.
Oh boy, I did have the Islanders. I have to admit, at the onset of this series, I like the Islanders. But what do I know? 2 for 8. I'm hitting 25% right now. So.
Yeah, they face a tall task now of heading back to Carolina. That's down 2-0.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, it's certainly not out of reach. They've got arguably the best coach in the entire NHL right now. He was the best coach in the NHL last year, according to the brass, where Barry Trotz. So if anyone is going to get this team in the right headspace and turn things around, it could be Barry Trotz and the New York Islanders. But as it stands right now, they currently are down 2-0. I'm going to go with the Islanders, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to turn it around. They're going to find a way. This team is just, they seem to thrive on adversity.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And, maybe they didn't face it a whole lot in the first round against Pittsburgh, which was, again, strange to see.
Yeah.
But, I have a feeling they may turn it around, and maybe the freshness that they got with finishing the Penguins off in 4 games might come back to help them with the Hurricanes going a grueling 7-game series against the Washington Capitals. So we'll see how that one plays out. And, of course, I wanted to finish off this first segment. We wanted to talk about the call.
Yeah.
The call, we mentioned it a little bit earlier on in the show. We were talking about the Vegas Golden Knights and the San Jose Sharks. Of course, you know what I'm talking about, the 5-minute major call with 10 minutes left that saw the San Jose Sharks score 4 shorthanded goals to take a 4-3 lead. They were down 3-0. This penalty occurred. Pavelski, I mean, you've seen the replay, I'm sure, with the blood like streaming from his ear. Like it's really tough to watch, but so strange when you watch the play happen and then the result and trying to make sense of what to call in that situation. It's like the cross-check itself was not a malicious one.
No.
It was not a play that was meant to hurt Joe Pavelski. It was just meant to push him out of position. He ends up falling awkwardly, hitting his head on the ice, and there's blood. So there's a cross-check on the play, and it drew blood. 5-minute major?
Yeah.
Question mark?
It was a very weird play. I mean, the principal point of contact would have been in, the mid-chest sort of region.
Yeah.
And again, off a face-off, right? So it's, he didn't have a whole head of steam or anything like that. It was off a dead play, off a face-off, and just a stick to the chest. And it was really almost like a pinball afterwards because he didn't go directly down. He lost his footing and sort of tumbled his way into traffic a little bit. And I think it was Paul Stastny of the Knights who sort of, and again, not malicious, but just sort of inadvertently bumped into him a little bit as if to, make a little bit of space. And that's when he sort of then tumbled again, almost in another direction. And it was direct head to ice contact. So, we're not taking away from the severity of the injury at all.
No.
And you do hope that Joe Pavelski recovers. I mean, 38 goals, I think, on the season. They're the captain. You want him back in the lineup as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
But the play itself was not really deserving of that type of infraction. And we've heard what everyone has had to say since. I think it was it the GM or I think the head coach of the Knights handled it pretty gracefully.
Yeah.
But there was a player, Marchessault himself, calling it a joke. I think the GM since asking for a review system. We've already seen the game slowed down enough with all of these offside challenges and other goaltender interference challenges, which really proliferated last season. But now, do we have to introduce another review system for plays like this?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, you hate to see, like you say, you hate to see the game slowed down even more. A lot of people making a very good point that it's a moot point. You shouldn't give up 4 goals on a power play, even if it is a 5-minute power play. But, regardless, it was just such a strange call, and it's just a weird one to turn a series around, especially one that had gone so far to that point. To turn it around like that, it's just it was hard to watch. It was hard to see. I mean, they still had a chance in overtime and they didn't win.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. At the end of the day, the Sharks did win the game, and you kind of just got to get over it.
Yeah.
But one of those strange calls that if I am a Vegas Golden Knights fan or a member of the team, it's going to stick with me all summer.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I did not like the call at all. And you'd think maybe with after the fact, seeing an injury of that severity, maybe it is something that you can throw a headset on and go to the boards and have another look at.
Yeah.
But to then sort of, I don't know if they based it just off what they saw, and they saw him being helped off the ice and not come back.
Yeah.
No, I did not like the call. I don't think it changed the outcome of the game because, like you said, they still allowed 4 goals in like a 4-minute stretch, and you just winning hockey teams shouldn't be doing that. I understand you're shorthanded, but
you got to find a way.
Yeah, you got to find a way.
You got to deal with the situation as it comes and find a way, and they did not, and the Sharks did. And here we are. All right, we are way over time with this first segment, so we are going to take a break. And when we come back, Kendra Wambold of Sport North joins us on Cabin Sports Radio.
The Cabin Sports Radio podcast, brought to you by Sport North, moving sport forward.
Welcome back to Cabin Sports Radio. Joining us on the phone right now, someone we haven't spoke to for a bit, Kendra Wambold. How you doing, Kendra?
I'm good. How are things up there, Scott?
Things are all right. Weather-wise, it's been a bit of a roller coaster lately, but I understand you're experiencing some of the same in Spruce Grove.
Yes, we got a little bit of snow. You guys got it, so it's I feel the pain. This April snow.
Yes, the April snow, which is certainly taking us out of this early summer feeling we started having, which kind of takes you out of the golf spirit. But one of the things we have you on for today, we got a couple things coming up with Sport North. One of which, looking way ahead, July 5th, the KidSport Peterson and Auger Golf Tournament. That is happening, of course, as always, at the Yellowknife Golf Club. Kendra, tell us more about the golf tournament this year.
Yes, so this year is the 67th annual Peterson and Auger Golf Tournament, and it is in support of KidSport Northwest Territories. So all of the money raised at the golf tournament through our silent auction item, the purchasing of mulligans, the bidding, every dollar that you spend at the golf tournament goes to KidSport NWT. Last year we raised over $29,000, and that was enough money to put 96 kids in the NWT into a season of sport. So this year we are always looking to increase that goal and put more kids into a season of sport. So we're really looking forward to July, even though it's hard to envision July right now.
It's a little bit tough right now, but definitely one of the most fun events every summer. The Peterson and Auger Golf Tournament always has such a great turnout and lots of support from the community. Do you still have room currently for hole sponsorships? How are we doing there?
Yes. So every year we do have hole sponsors. So we are accepting sponsorships for those. So if you're interested, you can definitely call Sport North at 669-8326. That's 669-TEAM. And we have hole sponsorships. Our gold sponsorship is always taken up by Nahanni Construction. The lovely crew over there is a proud supporter of KidSport NWT, and we are very, very grateful to them. But we do have our whole sponsorships, and as well as a golf cart sponsor as well available. So interested, give us a call or find our contact information on our website and send us an email.
Yeah, if you're looking to use that annual, sorry boss, I got to raise money for charity, got to go play some golf and have a few drinks in the middle of the day. I think we all get afforded one of those a year. So this is definitely a good one to do at the Peterson and Auger Golf Tournament. Again, July 5th at the Yellowknife Golf Club. A couple other events we got coming up a little bit closer, the annual Sport North Awards Ceremony. What's going on this year?
Yes, so this year our awards banquet is at the Explorer Hotel. It's on May 25th, and we've got, I believe, 12 award winners. So that includes teams, athletes, volunteers, coaches, officials. We like to recognize everybody for their amazing work in the sport and recreation world in the Northwest Territories. This year we've got a huge keynote speaker who we're very excited to bring to Yellowknife. Her name is Jennifer Botterill, and that name probably sounds familiar because she is a 3-time Olympic gold medalist, in addition to a silver medalist as well. So she was a hockey player on the Canadian national women's hockey team, and we're so excited to have her come up here and just talk to our youth and our aspiring athletes. She's got some great topics that she's going to talk about, how to approach life with a new standard of high performance. She's going to share some strategies on how to make it to the next level and excel when you get there. She is an incredible person. She's a Harvard graduate. She graduated Harvard with honors, and as well was competing high performance nationally with the Canadian women's national hockey team. So she's got a lot of good things I'm sure she'll share with our youth, and we can't wait to start inspiring some of the next generation with her. One of the greatest ever to wear the maple leaf at the Olympics and international competitions for years and years, it seemed like. She had an incredible career. So yeah, that is going to be awesome to have Jennifer up here as the keynote speaker. And a little bit, I guess 6 days after that is the deadline for the Rising Star application. Give us, we've talked about it a little bit before on the show, but just remind people what the Rising Star program is about. Yeah, so Rising Star is a program that follows the Canadian Sport for Life train-to-train model, and it's a program that provides funding to athletes who exhibit potential in their sport of choice and wish to receive additional training through a camp format. Usually this takes place in the summer. So females between the ages of 11 and 15 and males between the ages of 12 and 16 are definitely encouraged to apply. Information about this and the application and stuff can be found on the Sport North website. And if you have any questions, you can contact Rita for that. She's our gal for Rising Star. Okay. Thank you so much, Kendra. We're going to let you go. And I was just thinking in the middle of this interview, actually, this might be the last time that we have you on Cabin Sports Radio. So if that happens to be the case, of course, you're down in Spruce Grove, Alberta now, kind of phasing out of the communications job at Sport North. But if this does happen to be the last time that we have you on the show, then I just want to say thank you so much for being such a great guest on the show. And, of course, thank you so much for all the great work you did for Sport North and as the KidSport NWT coordinator. Thank you so much for all your hard work for us here in the North. Thanks, Scott, and thanks to Cabin Radio for helping us plug all of our programs each Monday on the show. Awesome. Well, you take care, Kendra, and maybe we'll speak to you again. Sounds good. Thanks, Scott. That's Kendra Wambold, Communications Director at Sport North and KidSport NWT Coordinator. We certainly wish her all the best in all of her future endeavors. And for more on any of the programs and the events we just talked about, the KidSport Peterson and Auger Golf Tournament, of course, July 5th at the Yellowknife Golf Club, the Rising Star application deadline, May 31st, and the Sport North Awards Banquet and AGM, May 25th. You can find out more information on all of those at sportnorth.com.
Cabin Sports Radio.
Cabin Sports Radio brought to you by Sport North, moving sport forward. Check out sportnorth.com for more. We are joined in studio by the Wheel. How you doing, sir?
We have got to stop playing the monkeys.
I don't know what you're talking about. The monkeys.
The monkeys.
Oh, the music.
The music.
Oh, that we don't pay attention.
We don't pay
to that.
attention
No,
to that?
not here.
All right,
No,
it's not on the podcast. No good.
Yeah, it's not going to be on the podcast.
All right, fair enough.
Don't worry about it.
Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
I haven't been on in a while. I'm good.
Yeah,
Good.
We had a couple opportunities.
What
but,
day is it?
It's Monday.
Okay, great.
Monday night.
Yeah, now Monday night. Are you ready for some football?
Not yet.
Okay,
yet.
no.
We're talking some baseball. Invited you in because you are.
Well, we're just
you
about
are.
to enter week 2 of the NFL draft. So
That's right, too. Yeah. Kyler Murray.
Yeah, sweet.
That's a great
Good for
story.
him.
That's a cool
Absolutely.
story.
We're in round 547. 1,236th overall pick. He's a 2-sport player from Oregon.
Is that where we want to go? We want to go Kyler Murray here?
so.
Okay. No, we want to talk Toronto Blue Jays.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Let's do it.
Last week,
I'm
was seeing
loving it right now.
all over my social media. Happy Vlad Guerrero Jr. Day.
Happy Fatty Vladdy.
People very excited. This is why we bring him on the show.
That guy's ass is as big as my belly. He's got a lot of power in that trunk.
The
He
midsection, though, is quite sizable.
It is. He's a
And
big boy.
I remember when he had that oblique injury
Yeah.
in training camp, I guess it was.
It wasn't in muscle. It was just
Yeah.
like he sprained some tire there. It happens to me every once in a while.
But that did raise some genuine concerns, though, about his longevity, about his
Absolutely.
endurance.
Yeah.
Because he's got such an aggressive swing,
Yes.
but he's also carrying a lot of extra weight in that midsection,
Yeah.
as you alluded to. So that kind of has been one knock that's sort of been brought up against him. This is a guy, though, that has 13 career plate appearmances. So the sample size is very, very small.
And absolutely. And people were already kind of like, well, it was kind of a less than whelming debut. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
But I mean, the amount of pressure that the Toronto media is putting on this kid,
Oh, yeah.
like they do with everything else.
Oh, yeah.
They
Like,
do that.
Is this kid a Hall of Famer already?
Yeah.
It's like he's got 13 at bats. let's just like. I mean, I love his swing, love his attitude. His glove is good. He can't run, but like once he finds his stride, he's gonna be very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. And I mean, it is a seminal moment in Toronto Blue Jays history because we've never had a draft pick like this.
Yeah.
We've
Right.
never had a prospect this high. We've never had a prospect like grouping this high. Bo Bichette, you got Vladdy Guerrero, you got Biggio. Like, I mean, these kids are like their pedigree is huge.
Yeah.
And what they're producing, what they produced in the minors so far is great. Like, it's an exciting time to be a Blue Jays fan. And right now, they are performing above expectations.
Yeah.
So obviously, the hype around Vlad Guerrero Jr. comes because his dad was such a great baseball
Hall of
player,
Famer.
second generation.
Absolutely.
Hall of Famer dad. Do you think because of that and all the hype surrounding him debuting with the Blue Jays, do you think some other players are being overlooked right now?
I mean, I think that kind of happens. It has to happen because, like, he's the show.
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of the ticket seller. But out of that shadow comes like some some guys that you've never heard of. Brandon Drury is doing great right now. Eric Sogard is crazy right now. He's got 10 games. He's got 3 home runs, 9 RBIs. He's hitting .415. This kid is like He's 32. He's 32. This young man is. He's playing well above expectations. He's having a bit of a breakout right now. So it's been exciting to watch. And like I've got like the MLB.TV package, so I can watch it anytime I want. And I'll pick it up. I'll try to pick it up whenever I can. Try to pick it up around when Vladdy's hitting, just to see what he does. And I mean, he's getting fooled by hooks a lot right now.
Yeah.
Like right now, he's looking like Pedro Soriano. That's a major league reference, by the way. Straight ball, I hit it very much. Curve, no like bats or whatever he says. And so he's getting fooled a little bit by that. But I mean, how old is he?
He's 19.
Yeah.
20.
Just
turned
turned
20.
Just turned 20. Yeah.
Just turned 20.
Yeah.
The youngest Blue Jay ever with a hit.
I think that was the thing that blew my mind the first time I saw him in action, and I think it was like the spring training this year. I don't think I'd really seen any of the AAA footage or AA, what it was last year, but in spring training this year, and I saw a couple video clips of him. I was like, that doesn't look like any 19-year-old
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
No, dude. He's got the ass of a 50-year-old man.
Well, he's made an absolute mockery of
Oh, dude.
single A, double A,
It's
triple A,
nuts.
what have you.
Yeah.
His numbers are just astronomical. And I think we know that he's got the raw power. You can see it in his swing. But I think it's his approach at the plate, his patience, and even, like we said, it's alluded to, it's a very, very small sample size. I'm sure the walk to strikeout ratio will balance itself out a bit.
Yeah, I hope so.
Three strikeouts through 12 at bats, but also 3 hits, 1 for extra bases. His first career hit, a double,
That's right, a double.
down the what would have been the right field line.
He scored a run too. He scored a run.
I think they pulled in a runner actually because it was
what they every time he gets on base, they're like, get him out of there.
Yeah, a 20-year-old kid. We don't want this guy running.
It's gonna blow something out.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are some concerns there. I mean, I imagine like even as big as he is, like everything's solid on him. He's got those, like he's got them thighs. But they're like thick and then like super solid. But I mean, at any time a player like that comes onto a team, it's going to overshadow some people. But some of these people are like really responding to that. It's like, hey, the pressure's off. Everyone's watching Vladdy. I'm going to hit 3 home runs in 4 games.
Well, that's exactly it. You got to think, some of these other guys are kind of like, well, thank God we got this guy because we don't got anyone really watching us with a critical eye. It's all Vladdy Guerrero Jr. But you got to think as he gets more comfortable, things are going to get a bit easier. He's probably going to be seeing the ball a bit easier as things go on. So, what are your predictions going forward? They started off 14-14 here, 500 right now. It's probably nothing. You didn't expect any more than that coming into this season.
I mean this is a rebuild season for sure. But I mean, like when they were playing well enough that when Shoemaker went down, tore his ACL, gone for the season, he was going on 4-0 with an ERA of like 9, or 0.9. It was enough for me to be like, okay, do we buy right now or do we start trading? Like I'm of the mind right now that like there's a significant chance that like by the All-Star break we could be asking for some help rather than selling off prospects.
That's pretty exciting. Just the thought that you could be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I don't entertain any fantasies that we're going to win the division. They can challenge for the wild card.
The Toronto media can do that too.
Absolutely. But I think they could challenge for a wild card spot. Like Boston right now is gross. And like New York's not doing great. And I think Tampa Bay's in the lead of the East and they're like 17-9.
Yeah.
That's not a huge gap.
I think they're 4.5 games back right now. But you alluded to Boston. What is Chris Sale? He's already at 5 losses.
0-5.
But yeah. And I don't even think he hit his 5th loss until like June or something.
He's injured. He must be.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird development off a truly historic 104, 108 wins. I can't remember how many wins.
108 wins last year.
The Boston the Red Sox had. Weird to see them come out of the gate. And when do you hit the panic button? It's very early.
30 games into a 640 game season.
Yeah, that's right.
Probably about right now.
But then, you've got the Yankees and then, the Rays. So, and it's great. It's a good story for the Blue Jays from an attendance standpoint. I think they had genuine attendance concerns at the start. I just saw a figure. I think it was around 30% down.
Yeah.
It's hard to get tickets for opening day, usually the first home game of the year. And it was weird flicking on the TV and seeing some empty seats.
Well, I mean, Toronto has the worst fans in the history of anywhere. Really.
Every sport.
They're terrible. Every sport. Not even the Wolfpack can get tickets.
But it's Major League Baseball. You can play an entire game to an empty stadium and still make money somehow. So, you know what? I think they'll be okay.
How?
That happened like 2 years ago.
How'd they make money?
Bad TV contracts. I don't know.
I remember that game.
Yeah, it actually happened. Was that in Baltimore?
Yeah, Baltimore. Yeah. Baltimore and Chicago White Sox. I can't remember why it was empty. Was it a bomb threat or something?
I don't remember actually. Yeah.
Something was weird.
You know what? Just cancel the game.
Yeah. I mean, so there are a lot of reasons to be very excited about this team. You got guys like Danny Jansen. You got like Gurriel Jr. Freddie Galvis is great. Teoscar Hernandez is going to be like a 30 home run, 100 RBI guy. And then like utility guys like Billy McKinney, Rowdy Tellez has been really solid. Like no one hitting in the 300s really right now, which is that's whatever. OBP is in the meaty part of the curve. You're talking like 29-30%, which is pretty decent.
Yeah,
but a lot of young guys. So what I love about Toronto is that they're kind of buying into the youth movement that's happening in MLB. Well, across the board, really. I mean, NHL is going that way. MLB is going that way.
Yep.
But Toronto's usually been very conservative when it comes to their prospects. Like, I think Roy Halladay didn't debut until he was like 23 or 24, which is usually how it goes with pitchers because you have to develop that arm.
Right.
So bringing on a 19-year-old was a big step for them.
Yeah.
I think the youngest guy they brought in before that, and I'm probably pulling this out of my ass, is Willie Kenyatte, 1993. He was 20 years old.
I will take your word for it.
I will take my word for it as well.
I mean, at this point, that's really all you could ask for is reasons for optimism in the Toronto Blue Jays season.
Absolutely.
The CSR Podcast.
Cabin Sports Radio. Brought to you by Sport North. Moving sport forward. Check out sportnorth.com. One more segment to go. We're just going to wrap it up pretty quickly here, but just before we do, the first segment, the wheel snuck in here. It's silent as a mouse.
Silent as a mouse.
It was really incredible. As we were talking about the Sharks Vegas Game 7, the result, and you started screaming as soon as we went off the air.
As you entered minute 20 of your NHL chat.
That's right.
Hey, it started with the NBA. We transitioned. All right.
We got range.
So go ahead, and now's your chance. What did you think of the call and the entire scenario?
The call's the call. I mean, the call happened. You gave up 4 goals on the PK. Like, you also lost game 5 and 6. It's like when Steve Bartman got blamed for the Cubs not winning the NLCS in 2003. Meanwhile, they blew that game and then lost game 7. You can't blame a penalty for the previous 2 losses. You also can't blame the penalty for giving up 4 goals.
Nope. Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Bad call. Bad calls happen. That's the sport.
Yeah.
And the fact that an NHL executive reached out to the Vegas Knights and apologized is gross.
Yeah. That was the thing that I really wish we had mentioned earlier. Yeah, you make a good point. The NHL reaching out and apologizing to the Vegas Golden Knights, which, like, I on one hand, I kind of commend because it's, you're taking responsibility for an obviously blown call. Regardless of the outcome, it was the wrong call.
But what responsibility can an NHL executive take? They can't take anything.
Well, that's the thing. It's completely flimsy in effect. Like, nothing comes of it.
No.
But I guess it's just an acknowledgement to the team that, like, yeah, you're right. That was a bad call. But at the same time, and Don Cherry mentioned on Coach's Corner, he was defending the refs, basically saying the NHL threw them under the bus. And that is kind of what you're doing by apologizing to the team. You're saying, yeah, unfortunately, our referees are still human and are prone to human error.
And then punish them by banning them from round 2.
Yeah.
None of those referees are refereing in round 2, so you took money out of their pockets and you threw them under the bus.
Yeah.
The reffing's supposed to be human. That's the whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
The whole deal is that there's a human element to how the game is called.
Yeah.
It's the same with umpires in baseball, and some umpires are terrible, Angel Hernandez, but there's just some things that happen. And I mean, that's the way it goes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It was a 5-minute power play. You gave up 4 goals. You crapped on your own season. Nothing else happened.
And then conceded what I think was a 5-on-5 OT goal. So there's no excuse there.
No.
But as you alluded to, and it's a point that for some reason is not being talked about, blowing a 3-1 lead.
Yeah. And the reason they reach out and apologize, and the reason they ban those refs is it's a fan service thing. Fine. Money, like the Vegas Knights are the hottest team money-wise in the league right now. So you have to apologize to those fans because they don't get to watch their team and they don't get to generate all that income for the NHL or for the team itself.
Right.
So that's where the cynical part of me is just like, the NHL must love, sarcastically, what happened in the first round because all their big market teams are gone. Like Boston, as popular as they are, is a small market team.
Yeah.
It's not New York. It's not LA. It's not even Vegas or Washington. And Washington's a smaller city than Boston, but they're the defending champs with the number 1 player in the world, basically, Ovechkin. So they have all these teams. So now you've got the Islanders, the Hurricanes,
a lot of small markets.
Columbus, tons of small markets, which is great for the game.
Yeah.
Bad for the pocketbooks.
Yeah.
So they reach out and they apologize and they ban these refs and like strip them of money. And make them look like professionally. Make them look like like, you know what I mean? Like, make them look terrible.
And it also sets, a kind of an odd precedent for the future because now the Sharks Colorado game the other night, you got Marc-Edouard Vlasic waiting for an apology for the linesman about a blown icing call that led to a Tyson Barrie goal. So, I mean, where do the expected apologies stop? But hoping
can Pickles get an apology.
Can Pickles justice for Pickles?
There we go.
All right. here's hoping for a future in the NHL with robotic referees. All right, that'll do it for this episode of Cabin Sports Radio. Going to leave you with a little bit of audio. You know, NHL players are often criticized as having no color, no fun in their post-game interviews, very starchy. So here's a collection of just a little bit of fun in the post and pre-game interviews that we've had from the first round of the NHL playoffs. Enjoy your week. We will talk to you again next Monday on Cabin Sports Radio.
In the elimination game, you guys probably expected your best, right? What happened?
Please, come on, man. I mean, like, you know, this is a tough trophy to win.
I think they just got involved in the game, called a bad call, and look where we are. Summer starts 5 months now until game 1 with the regular season starts. It's awful.
How much worse does that make it? I mean, you can't get back on the ice and forget about it.
You think we were ready to get our summer going here? We're a great team. It's unbelievable.
You want to clear your good name as far as being the guy chirping the Sharks?
I really don't want to talk about that, but I think I'm going to have to a little bit because, for that clown to say that in the paper yesterday, it's not right. There might have been 2 incidents that happened, and I'll tell you both of the incidents. Logan Couture, I thought it was an embellishment, so I'm yelling at the referee. I'm not yelling at Logan Couture. The other one, game 2, Evander Kane's yelling at Ryan Reeves between the bench. And Evander yells at me. He said, "Hey, coach, when are you going to send your big guy out in the ice and play him more than 4 minutes?" And I said, he's played 10 minutes every game, and he's going to play a lot more.
On Gusta's goal, can you talk about just, I guess, the space that opened up for you there, for you to be able to get down there and get your shot off?
Yeah, it was, what's the question?
You had beer poured on you. Is that why it smells in here?
What's that?
Is that...
I'm sorry.
You had the beer poured on you. Is that why it smells in this room?
No, I have nothing to do with the smell in the media room. Nothing.